Welcome to the interpretation of your Freshman Personality Test results. After watching this video, we hope that you will gain a better understanding of yourself in terms of your study habits and attitudes towards study and your internal coping resources that will help you in dealing with stressful situations. If you have questions along the way, just list them down and send it to us after watching this interpretation video. The results of the Study Orientation Survey Revised will give you an insight on your study habits and attitudes. Your SOSR scores are categorized into very low, low, average, high, very high, and excellent. If you got an excellent score on a factor, it means that you are excellent in that area. If you obtained high to very high score on a factor, it reflects that you are good to very good in the said area. Maintain or aim for better study habits and/or attitudes. If you scored average on a factor, it means that you are adequate in that area. You can still do better and you may still improve your study habits and/or attitudes. If you obtain score of very low to low, it means that you have to exert more effort in improving your study habits and attitudes in the said area. Let us look into the different factors of this test. First, study methods and mechanics. This assesses how you make use of your study time and the methods you use in reviewing. This includes your system of studying, note-taking and reading skills, as well as planning and scheduling techniques. Example, how do you manage your review period? Do you study difficult subjects first before the easier ones, or is it the other way around? If you scored low in this area, it means that you have to discover and develop better study methods. Second, emotional factors. This indicates your degree of emotional stability in areas affecting your academic performance. This deals with how well you are able to cope with the problems that you are encountered. Example, how do you handle failing a major exam? If you scored low in this area, it means that you have to be more mindful of your emotions, how you react on them, how you express them, and how they affect your life. Third, motivation and drive. This refers to the push that is directed towards academic achievement. It may be understood in connection with your attitude towards school, future expectations, desire to excel, and your choice of a program. Example, why are you in your program? What inspires you in your studies? Is tertiary education important to you? If you scored low in this area, it means that you lack the motivation and drive. It is important to find an inspiration of why you are studying. Fourth, perception of learning skills. This is how you see your cognitive abilities and how these are maximized for academic achievement. Example, knowing that you are relatively good in English, do you manifest this ability in the quality of your essays or in other requirements that demand depthness in the English language? If you scored low on this area, you have to identify your strengths and maximize those strengths in order to succeed academically. Fifth, time spent studying. This is a measure of how you exercise time management. This is the amount of time that you spend studying or reviewing your lessons. Example, how much time do you spend studying every night? If you scored low in this area, it means that you have to allot more time in studying. The sixth factor is promptness. It indicates whether you observe punctuality in the completion of your tasks and the submission of your requirements. It signifies if you do things ahead of time or if you tend to cram. Example, do you submit assignments or requirements on time? Or are you always stressed out because you tend to submit tasks in the nick of time? If you scored low in this area, it means that you have to be more prompt in doing your school requirements. The seventh factor is concentration and perseverance. This is the capacity to sustain your efforts or attention on studying and working. This is how you persevere despite difficulties. Example, are you able to focus on your homework even when the rest of your family is watching your favorite show? Are you able to study well even if your first quiz was disappointing? If you scored low in this area, You have to look for methods to improve your concentration, such as designating a study space to do all your school-related tasks and minimizing sources of distractions. And the last one, social factors. This measures how well you are able to relate with your teachers, peers, and family members. Basically, it speaks of interpersonal skills. Example, are you comfortable with your classmates? Do you relate well with your teachers such that you can ask them questions about things you do not understand? If you scored low in this area, there is a need to improve your social skills. Based on your results in the different dimensions, evaluate yourself and ask, is there a need for me to make adjustments regarding my study habits and attitudes? If yes, what changes will I do? There are various ways to improve your study habits. However, it is still up to you to discover the best study habits and methods that will work best for you. Here are just some of them.
Number 1, do homework in a different room each day or even outside. Studies show that students retain more information that way because the brain makes associations between what you're studying and the background sensations it has. Another tip, don't pull all-nighters. A St. Lawrence University study showed that the more all-nighters a student pulls, the lower their GPA. That's because your brain needs sleep to process and store information. Set up a consistent study schedule. Review class notes before bed. Harvard University researchers say, don't miss this, falling asleep right after learning something helps you make new knowledge permanent. And finally, gotta hit the treadmill, summer. Students who exercise 4 times a week do much better in school. We know that's because exercise pumps blood to the parts of the brain that control learning and memory.
Stress is an inevitable part of life. When you have difficulties responding to your life's demands, or when you feel incapable due to limited resources, you experience stress. To effectively manage the stresses of not just an ongoing but also of upcoming demands in daily life, there is a continuous need to cope. Coping comes in the form of coping strategies, which involves specific activities such as eating and exercising that reduces stress. Coping styles, on the other hand, are the basic fundamental approach people use in dealing with challenges, which include emotion-focused coping, problem-focused coping, and avoidance. Because stress comes every day, we need more than coping styles and strategies. To deal with everyday and enduring challenges, what you need are coping resources, the more specific personal characteristics that you can draw upon when under stress. The PICRS aim to measure your internal coping resources. Proactive strategies to cope with stress are promoted. This includes building of general resistance resources, developing skills, planning long-term and promoting self-regulated goal attainment strategies. These efforts are undertaken in advance of a potentially stressful event to prevent it or to modify its form before it occurs. Finding positive meaning involves your positive interpretation of challenging events, such as interpreting a stressful event as a challenge and as a way to improve oneself. Appraising stressful events positively results to having positive affect. Negative emotions are replaced with positive emotions such as feelings of hope. This further leads to good coping. This helps with the psychological issues raised by the event, since cognitive strategies are used. An example of this is when you see the benefit of losing in a competition that you believe that the situation will serve as a motivation to improve yourself. An average to high score in this area means that you tend to see and explain the stress that you are experiencing in a positive manner, as a challenge to improve oneself, and as a source of hope. A low score in this area means that you may want to practice finding positive meaning during stressful events. You may do this by reflecting on stressful experiences, looking for a positive explanation behind your experiences, and maintaining hope amidst challenges. Self-efficacy coping. This pertains to your confidence and your ability to cope effectively. Self-efficacy coping leads to initiation of behaviors such as greater amount of effort expended, persistence despite obstacles, and eventual success. It influences resilience to adversity since you have the confidence to face challenging events. It enables enactment of successful coping resources, which further results to less distress. It empowers individuals to have a sense of control, further believing that you are a proactive agent who can shape your life circumstances. It helps individuals recover from stressful and traumatic events. Challenging events are interpreted as stressful but are faced confidently. An average to high score in this area means that you possess sufficient self-efficacy coping. You have the confidence to cope effectively with stress. You look for ways on how to effectively cope with stress, and you believe that you have the ability to change the course of your life. A low score in this area means that you may want to develop your confidence towards your capacity to cope with stressful events. You may do this by developing a self-confidence that you can face any challenges, actively looking for ways on how to effectively cope with stress, and trusting that you can influence your life events. Self-control coping. This pertains to your actual ability to cope. It is also a cognitive control or the ability to interpret, appraise, and incorporate various sorts of stressful events into an ongoing life plan. You consider stressful events as a source of learning on how to handle future stresses. It is the sense of having more coping skills, that you consistently improve yourself in terms of your coping skills. Stress is handled by attempting to alter what can be changed, but accepting what cannot be changed. You do your best to deal with your problems and reduce the experience of stress, but you also recognize that there are some things you have no control of and that you cannot change. An average to high score in this area means that you possess sufficient self-control coping. You have the ability to cope with stress, and you consistently improve your coping abilities. A low score in this area means that you need to improve on your coping style. You may do this by developing your coping abilities and utilizing effective methods and using cognitive techniques in dealing with stress.
The Depression Anxiety Stress Scale 21 or DASS 21 can give us insight into the presence, severity, and impact of the negative emotional states of depression, anxiety, and stress over the past week. However, DASS 21 is not used to conclude that you have a disorder. Other symptoms such as sleep, appetite, sexual disturbances, and suicidality in depression are not covered in DASS and should be assessed separately. Further exploration through other assessment procedures or referral to a specialist is highly encouraged if one's result shows higher scores such as mild, severe, and extremely severe in any of the three dimensions. Likewise, results that show lower scores or normal should not be used as a replacement for comprehensive clinical assessment. The first factor is depression. Your score in this factor reflects your experiences that may be symptoms of depression. Persistent feelings of severe unhappiness, uneasiness, and dissatisfaction. Having no expectations or being pessimistic about the future. For example, you ask yourself, why do I have to attend my classes when I would be failing them anyway? Perceiving life as meaningless or having no value. Being overly critical about and undervaluing oneself, ability, and achievements. For example, you tell yourself, Nobody will ever love me because I'm broken. Lack of interest or involvement in activities, including activities you previously enjoyed. Being unable to experience enjoyment or satisfaction. Lack of motivation, energy, and initiative to do things. For example, you may have difficulty doing simple daily tasks like proper hygiene, such as showering, brushing your teeth, brushing your hair, and changing into clean clothes. You may also have the tendency to stay in your bed for longer periods of time. If you scored highly in this area, it may help to explore strategies that may help you cope with the possible symptoms of depression. Reaching out to your support systems such as friends and family. This may be a good avenue to express your thoughts and feelings to people who make you feel safe and cared for if you are not ready to seek professional help. This will not just help unload pent-up emotions, but it will also make you feel heard. Moreover, it helps your friends and family understand you better and be aware of what they can do to help you when needed. Joining social activities to alleviate isolation and expose yourself to sunlight. Joining social activities, especially those that instigate purpose and meaning like volunteering, may help you steer away from isolation. Additionally, activities held outdoors expose you to sunlight. Being exposed to sunlight increases hormones that help you feel calm and focused and improve your mood. It also helps your body feel awake as a response to light exposure, further contributing to reducing feeling sluggish or wanting to stay in bed for longer periods of time. Engaging in physical activities like exercise help you produce happy hormones that trigger positive feelings and relaxation. Journaling may also help to remind yourself that there is still good that happens to you and around you. For example, you can write 3 things you're grateful for each day, or write the highlights of your day. The second factor is anxiety. Your score in this factor reflects your experiences that could perhaps be symptoms of anxiety. Physiological symptoms like awareness of dryness of the mouth, sweating, hyperventilation, increased heart rate, skeletal muscle tension like shaky hands or trembling, and others in situations that the population deems normal. Escape, cautious or avoidant behaviors. Out of proportion fear. Excessive vigilance in preparation for future danger. For example, preparing 20 blue books for one exam. If your scores show a higher result in this area, you might want to try the following. Practicing different activities that remind you that you are still in control when you feel anxious. Breathing exercises help you become conscious of your breathing and regulate your nervous system, encouraging your body to become more relaxed. Grounding techniques. For example, you can enumerate 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. You may also find other grounding techniques available online. Meditating activities. For example, yoga, listening to music, having long walks, looking at sceneries, gardening, painting, completing a puzzle, and others. Learning what triggers your anxiety through journaling may also help alleviate your anxieties. Write and describe the events that are currently making you feel anxious. Keep in mind that most of the time, it is the anticipation of the future that makes you anxious and not what is currently happening. As you read and reflect on your concerns, explore your options. Could things be different? Can you make your situation better? Can you change your thoughts about it? Ask yourself questions that challenge your thoughts, like, how likely is it that this will happen? How do I know? If what I fear occurs, is it possible that things will not be too bad after all? Is there something I can learn from it if it actually happens? Writing and challenging your thoughts can help you relieve anxiety. It helps you see that things are less likely to happen and they are not as bad as you think they could be. The last factor is stress. Your score in this factor gives insight into your experiences that may possibly be symptoms of stress. Symptoms may be physical, psychological, or behavioral. For physical, there could be nervous arousal or tensed muscles. For psychological, there's difficulty relaxing, which may also be physical and behavioral. Being easily upset or agitated, or being touchy. Being impatient or intolerant of interruption or delay. Or being overreactive. For behavioral, you can get easily startled or become nervy, jumpy, or fidgety. If your results show a higher score in this domain, here are some suggestions you could explore in managing stress. Taking care of yourself by exercising regularly helps release happy hormones that help relieve anxiety and stress. Eating healthily helps obtain the nutrients you need to keep a strong mind and healthy body. And getting through enough sleep contributes to improving your mood, help you perform better in tasks, and have a clearer mind. For example, you can take 20 to 30 minutes of brisk walking. Eat the right food at the right time, or avoid caffeine and or nicotine close to your bedtime. Taking breaks help protect your emotional energy, maintain your performance throughout the day, and lessen your recovery time. For example, you can set a designated time for breaks and follow them diligently. You can stretch, nap, or take social breaks, or chat with friends, etc. Talking to your support system about your feelings can help release heaviness and provide opportunities for reassurance, encouragement, and wisdom you might need. Reconceptualizing thoughts and experiences may be helpful as it changes your perspective through awareness, reflection, and realization of what you need to do. Essentially, this gives you a way to accept that there are things you cannot control, but you can use the situation as a learning curve to challenge yourself and bring about your potential and develop your skills. Cultivating hope by having faith in a higher being also helps us accept that there are things beyond our control and embrace our human experience. Acknowledging small wins to emphasize your progress and how you overcame difficulties. And manifesting positive outcomes instead of focusing on what might go wrong. There are many more coping strategies that you may utilize, and although these coping strategies may help, it is still very much encouraged that you reach out to a professional for further assessment, especially when your results show higher scores in any of the 3 factors. Remember, there is nothing wrong with asking for help. Thank you for watching the interpretation of your personality test results. For elaboration and inquiries, or if you need someone to talk to, feel free to message us on the Guidance Center Facebook page. Our school psychologists, guidance counselors, and psychometricians are more than willing to listen to you. Thank you and have a great day.